All right, now last night, the House of Representatives voted on the right to push forward the $3.5 trillion stimulus package or spending bill. The right to vote on the $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure bill at the end of September, and they passed a voting rights bill that would restore federal power over states when it comes to, okay, this was all done in the House of Representatives last night. The bill will move forward on the $3.5 trillion spending package or stimulus package. The votes came out this way, 220 yeses to 212 noes. So the vote was right down party lines. Every Republican voted against it, and every Democrat lined up and voted for it. Now, Pelosi was able to convince the 9 moderate Democrats to vote with the party after only 24 hours of putting up a fight. So she's very persuasive and was able to get this done for her party. Now, this doesn't mean that it's a done deal. The bill still has to be written. We know from past information what they want to see, and here's what it is. Free daycare, free pre-kindergarten, free community college, paid time off for parents or parents' paid leave. They want to revamp Medicare and Medicaid, and lower that age while also increasing the benefits on vision, dental, and hearing aids. We also know that they are going to go after the prescription drug companies' pricing here in the United States, and they believe that it will save the American taxpayer or U.S. government about $600 billion. Democrats also want to keep the child tax credit monthly checks as a permanent feature and not just a one-time provision. These are what I would call the for sures, okay? Now, the not for sures, but have been teased that could be in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package are a fourth stimulus check. Now, whether that's $600, $1,200, $1,400, or a $2,000 stimulus check, we don't know yet, right? I'm highly doubtful that there'll be $2,000 down and $1,000 a month recurring, but I could see them putting a fourth stimulus check in. I just don't know who will get it or for what amount. They've also dangled the carrot or teased about the idea of a $500 fuel tax credit, $500 a month recurring as universal basic income. They've thrown out the idea of $4,000 to $8,000 as adult tax credits, where you don't need a child, you would just get that, and that could become monthly checks, similar to the child tax credit program. They've also teased the idea of increasing Social Security Administration benefits by $200 a month. They've also thrown out the idea of $40 billion to help those that are behind on their utilities. They've also talked about forgiving $10,000 to $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness and much, much more. So these now need to be formally submitted, right? This vote passing that his Democrat colleagues need to start submitting their plans to include in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Representative Hoyer said the Democrat Party is a big tent party, meaning there are a lot of people from different parts of the country with different wants and needs for those that they represent. He wants all of them to be able to have a voice and an influence in what makes it into the final $3.5 trillion stimulus package before it is sent to the Senate to go through what he and Pelosi call the privilege of only needing 51 votes. Basically, the budget reconciliation vote. All right, now, this is the time for all of the different packages that help people financially to be officially submitted. As these bills come out, I will definitely bring all of them to your attention. I expect that there's going to be a lot of new ideas, old ideas, reworked ideas so that they'll actually make it into the bill. All of that is going to be coming out now that they have unlocked the right to do it in the Senate. They've now unlocked the right to do it in the House, and they have President Biden's blessing to move forward. So all of that now is out of the way. We just now need to know what's going to be in the bill and officially put it into writing. All right, now President Biden has announced that he will honor the Taliban's August 31st first deadline, he has ordered the military to start their rapid withdrawal. So he's pulling the military out. This means that between 10 to 20,000 Americans and their children will be left behind in Afghanistan to figure their own way out of the country. It also means that United States is leaving behind Americans, okay? And that they've evacuated 4 times as many Afghans as they have American citizens. Here's what else it means. According to a Pentagon briefing released just today, there is $800 million of cash in the U.S. Embassy right now. Once the military leaves and the embassy is abandoned, the Taliban will have that $800 million of taxpayer money. So we've all been worried about this $450 million cash payment. They don't care. They're about to walk into $800 million in cash. They're also going to get access to the $800 million U.S. Embassy. And they've now collected $85 billion in U.S. military equipment. Now, it didn't take very long, but the Taliban has already begun to mock the United States and our military by recreating the iconic photo using stolen military gear. When they planted that flag in Iwo Jima, they're mocking us now with that. When asked about the Afghan situation this morning, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she believes President Biden is doing a good job, and she said, "I trust his judgment." So they think that the president is doing a good job in handling this and that he has excellent judgment with what's going on. However, it seems the American people might be thinking differently than Miss Pelosi. According to a USA Today survey that just came out, President Biden's approval rating has dropped to 41%. It was just 2 weeks ago that I was telling you guys it was at 55%. Now, according to this data, 55% disapprove of the way Biden is handling things as commander-in-chief. So it's actually flipped. He went from 55 approval rating to 55% disapproval rating. It's the fastest the American people have ever flipped on an American president. The survey further showed most Americans agreed it was time to exit Afghanistan, but greatly disapprove of the way that it was done. Now, when asked who was to blame, this is the order that Americans ranked this situation. George W. Bush ranked the highest, then Obama, then Biden, and lastly, Trump. 62% said former President George W. Bush caused the mess and that Joe Biden finished the mess. So those two are kind of the bookends getting hit with the most. But I was surprised how high Obama was on the list. Now, meanwhile, back in the United States, school systems are dealing with staffing shortages from teachers to janitors to bus drivers. Many bus drivers switched to Grubhub, Uber Eats, or becoming a Lyft driver because it could pay them more money, and they found themselves without an income when schools closed last year. Now, one school district in Maryland is going to pay parents $700 to drop and pick up their own kids as they are short 400 bus drivers for the year. All right, now the head of the Nancy Pelosi January 6th commission announced he will be using his authority to subpoena hundreds of Republicans' emails, phone history, and text messages in order to see if there was a coordinated effort by Republicans to incite the Capitol breach. The FBI already released their findings after 7 months. They found there to be no coordinated effort, but the head of this committee said that he doesn't trust the FBI, and so he wants to do his own deep dive on Republican leaders. The Pentagon announced that all members of the armed forces must be. There are several lawsuits fighting this with the Pentagon, but the Pentagon has said, we are moving forward. It is now a requirement. According to the new governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, New York may have an additional 12,000 deaths not reported while Governor Cuomo was in office. Remember, Cuomo was caught trying to cover up tens of thousands of nursing home deaths. In other news, in other Cuomo news, remember I told you how he got a $5 million book deal for his bold leadership and won an Emmy for his acting performance on TV? Well, his Emmy has now been taken back. So he doesn't have that Emmy anymore. Georgia House Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said she will be filing articles of impeachment against President Biden for his handling of the border, the Afghanistan crisis, and directly going against the Supreme Court with the rent eviction situation. Now, it's not believed that these articles of impeachment will get very far, since Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the White House. But this was in the news, and this could become a situation if Republicans take back either the House or the Senate in 2022. Also, Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina said last night that he believes Democrats ought to impeach President Biden over the Afghanistan crisis. Graham said, "How can you abandon thousands of Americans to the enemy and say you are upholding your sworn duty to protect the American people?" Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell told Biden he should ignore the August 31st deadline, get tough on the Taliban versus bowing to them, and get our people home. So a little bit differing opinions coming out here. This was what was all in the news today. All right, now in money news, the stock market is reacting favorably to passing by Pfizer. Nearly all stocks and indexes are rising. However, the upcoming debt ceiling battle has some worried about the stock market as well as hyperinflation. 25% of all US dollars were printed in the past year. With the passage of nearly $5 trillion more on the horizon, this would mean close to 50% of all US dollars were printed in less than 24 months. Some say this is going to lead to even higher prices as the US dollars in circulation are inflated at a massive rate. However, the White House is saying that they are not at all worried about inflation and to push forward with these historic spending bills. However, Federal Reserve Bank meeting notes suggest that the Federal Reserve is worried about inflation and when to raise rates at the right time. Now, this is my update for today. As I know more, I will definitely come on and share more. Before you go, make sure to get your name and email entered to be one of the winners of the $10,000 that Casey and I are giving away. 5 of you are going to win $1,000 and 20 of you are going to win $250. All right, now before you go, I just want to remind you that you are amazing. I appreciate you being in my community, and I'll see you on the next video.